Alright, we're out of Fright Night, and I don't know about you, I'm very tired.
Pussy.
We did the Brad tries from the fair like 2 hours ago. We were there for like 5 or 6 fucking hours. And so we left there and pit stopped back at home because I had to dump footage off the camera, and then came here, and it was so tired.
You must be just walking around looking for that fried butter.
Yeah.
Such a cocktease.
So, in regards to something like this, like a Fright or a horror remake in general, you kind of gotta, or at least on a video like this, say where your head was at before you were walking in. I'm not the kind of person who will instantly go, it depends on the movie, but I'm not the kind of person, the majority of the time, who goes into a remake just automatically thinking it's gonna just fucking suck balls and shit. Like, admittedly, most are bad. Maybe I'm a little too optimistic in that regard. You know, I hope that it's gonna be good. I hope it's gonna be fine. I'm not one of those people who's gonna hate it just because it's a remake. Granted, I have done that before, because like I said, it all depends on the movie. It depends on how close you are to the movie. Because I don't like the remake of Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead's my favorite the original's my favorite horror film of all time. In regards to Fright Night, the original is really, really good. I haven't seen it in probably 10 years. It's a damn good movie. It's a fantastic movie. I haven't seen it in a good 10 years or so. I don't know why. It's a fine movie. So I couldn't really do like a very spot-on comparison with this and the other one. So I'll say I've had a long day. I'm kind of beat. This movie's flawed. I had a pretty good time at it. And honestly, I know you didn't like it. I'm probably going to agree with a lot of what you're saying. Because the reasons why I recommend the movie are really shallow. Uh-huh. Colin Farrell and David Tennant. You know, I mean, I don't do this very often. I'm going to say the movie is really worth the ticket price alone for those two motherfuckers. The movie's very flawed. There were times in the movie where I was like, really? But for every time like that, there were a lot of moments that I really, really, really liked. And it's because I liked the characters a lot. I really liked Colin Farrell in this movie. He really fucking sold this fucking thing. And I really, really loved Tennant's take on the Peter Vincent character. It was different than it was in the original, but I liked his take on that. And I liked the kid. I liked the main kid. So my reasons for liking it are pretty shallow. I'm very tired. I was entertained by it.
Hello! Well, my thoughts coming into this movie was I was really excited about it. Because, you know, first of all, David Tennant and Colin Farrell, and screenplay by Marty Noxon, which is also very exciting, and just the previews made it look really, really good, and I went in and I was just, that first half hour kind of set the tone for it for
I didn't
me,
like the first 15 minutes either.
because it kept doing that, it was like it's that second-rate Diablo Cody shit, where it's like trying to figure out how the kids are talking today, and they're all like, oh, that's so fetch, and Mom, don't be a drag,
So
and
fetch.
it sounded so stilted. It was like they were trying to ad-lib on the spot, and the only one that was pulling it off was McLovin.
I hated him in this.
I liked McLovin. I thought he seemed pretty natural, but that
he was
main
playing
kid,
McLovin.
well, he was, but he was really good at it.
But he wasn't playing Evil Ed. He was playing McLovin. And I like the character of McLovin. He annoyed the piss out of me in this fucking thing.
No, see, I think he really, because basically the plot of the movie is, you know, the main guy used to be friends with his little nerd friends, and then, you know, got cool and got a pretty girlfriend, and kind of ditched them, and I thought he played really well the kind of spurned friend, you know, whose best friend matured faster than he did, and, you know, kind of like,
Really, with all of his one-liners?
angry and kind of whiny and blaming it on the girlfriend.
With all the one-liners he's throwing out there?
Well, everyone was throwing out one-liners. That's the Diablo Cody shit that I'm mad about.
But some characters did it well.
Some characters did it really still, but McLovin did it well because
I didn't think he did it well.
I think he did.
when he comes back at the end, that's all his dialogue is.
Oh, he comes back at the end, that's terrible, but I'm getting to that.
And before that, what kind of drove me nuts before then, because the first, and I agree with you, honestly, about the first 15 minutes of the movie. Not really with how they did, because I liked Anton Yelkin, the main kid. I thought he was fine.
No.
I thought he was really good. He kind of acted in that like I would have in that situation. Well, wait, fuck that. I would have just called Dave to deal with it. Fuck that.
No, he was kind of emotionless and drab, and the only time that he actually felt like he gave two shits is when his girlfriend was there.
I didn't think so. I thought he pulled it off. Especially how they had him look, because he looks fucking haggard by the end of this movie.
Well, yeah, that's makeup, though. That's not him.
But he sold the haggard thing really well. You can put makeup on somebody, yeah, but I thought he went along with it just fine. But McLovin, the reason why he was driving me nuts in the first part of it was that the first 15 minutes seemed to be moving really fast. The first time you see McLovin in this movie is about 5 minutes in. He's like, "Oh, dude, your neighbor's a vampire." Are we a half an hour into this fucking movie with, 2 minutes?
But, like, I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
The reasons I did not like this movie. I love David Tennant, don't get me wrong. But it was almost like they wanted Russell Brand, and so they hired David Tennant and told him, okay, now do your impression of Russell Brand.
It was a good impression.
And it was a pretty good impression, but it wasn't fucking David Tennant.
Well, he's not supposed to play Doctor Who in every movie.
I'm not saying he's supposed to play Doctor Who, I'm just asking him not to play a crap-ass Russell Brand.
Honestly,
There were scenes where, he's just, like, doing stuff only because it's what Russell Brand would do. Like when he's just knocking back the liquor and like sitting in the chair like this and like scratching at his balls. It made no goddamn sense for him to be doing that there. No.
He was an alcoholic.
Well, just because you're an alcoholic doesn't mean you need to be prancing around the room with a long fucking wig.
An eccentric guy that he was playing, a real showbiz kind of guy that he was playing.
He can play a showbiz guy without playing Russell Brand.
Well, honestly, the thing is, when you put a British guy in long hair and a goatee like that and give him shit to drink, he's always going to look like Russell Brand.
No.
He doesn't
have to look like, he doesn't have to be Russell Brand. He could have been David Tennant as a showbiz.
I took it as he's David Tennant playing Chris Angel. I think that's what they were going for in this. I don't think he was supposed to be playing Russell Brand.
He wasn't.
His show is Chris Angel's show.
Look at like the mannerisms he was doing, like the little weird sway walk and like the random pauses in the middle of his sentences and like the
That didn't bother me.
The eloquence with obscenities kind of sprinkled into it.
Oh yeah, I liked that.
It was so very Russell Brand. But I mean, towards the end of the movie, and I will agree with you there, he stopped being that kind of caricature and kind of became an actual character. And I appreciated that, and Tennant pulled it off really well. He's a fantastic actor. It's just he was having to act through an impression.
Even though his persona is fake, though, it is a fake persona that he is putting on.
But even after he takes the persona off, he's still doing that shit.
Well, he just got off stage.
He's still coming down.
I mean, I'm sure you're right. I mean, the whole Russell Brand thing, yeah, maybe, but it didn't bother me. I thought he was a fun character.
What we can't agree on, though, was that Colin Farrell was amazing.
Yeah, he was.
He really was. There was lines of that dialogue.
Speeches that he gives.
That off of anyone else would suck so bad, but just the way he was acting.
Well, I'm glad they got an actor like that to play that part.
Well, he's just menacing.
Yeah, he really was in this movie.
just like kind of propped in the... Oop.
I got it.
Just when he's like propped in the doorway there, just kind of leaning in and asking for a beer. It was fucking terrifying.
He really was. And funny at the same, intentionally. Humorous at the same time. He really was. He nailed the part.
He did. And I like I did like the mannerisms they gave the vampires in this movie.
So did I.
Like it wasn't just like the usual kind of like sort of thing. They actually kind of had like weird twitchy limbs and like there's parts where they're like scuttling across the ground like spiders. I appreciate
when they're coming out of the wall at the end.
Oh god,
that was pretty effective. I liked that.
But again, a lot of those moments for me were ruined by the dialogue. Like there's that one part where he's like underneath the car.
Yeah.
And it should be terrifying, but he sticks his hand up through the console, and the kid goes, "Oh my god, it's a zombie vampire hand. You believe me now, Mom?" And then the scene just keeps going.
I agree with that. That was a bad line. For me, there wasn't that many other than fucking McLovin.
Again, McLovin did not bug me as much as that main guy, because it's just everything that came out of his mouth. It was just so lackluster.
I liked it. I thought he played the laid back guy pretty well in it.
There's laid back and there's laid back while you're being attacked by vampires.
He was also very dry in a lot of his humor, which is what I liked about his character too. Like when he says how his mom is religious in the hospital because he put all the crosses in her window.
See, that's the kind of
stuff
thing
like
that
I liked about that character.
Some people can pull it off and some people can't. Like Jesse Eisenberg pulls that shit off really, really well.
I like this guy better than Eisenberg.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Oh, Eisenberg has a face I just want to punch.
That's completely related to his acting.
It is. He looks like a douchebag.
This guy looked like a douchebag, which I guess maybe is my bias and your bias to Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah, probably. Although Jesse Eisenberg was great in Social Network.
Trailers?
He was playing a douchebag. Hang on. There were a couple other things I didn't like. One, don't see this movie in 3D.
Oh God, yeah. Half of the movie you can't even tell what's going on.
Which honestly is something that I don't go see. There are some 3D effects in it, like the ash,
the ash was actually one of the best 3D effects because they kept doing that bullshit where it's like stuff is coming at the camera, but the timing was like slightly off on it or something, so you could oh, okay, here comes another one, and then the thing through the window.
So they do stuff like that in it. A couple of times it looks fine, like the ash at the opening credits. Mm-hmm. They don't go see it in 3D. One, because it is a very dark-looking movie, which is actually something I kind of liked about it. I like the fact that it was like in the dark desert and it was always kind of overcast and whatnot. I actually liked that about it. It made me wish I was seeing it in 3D. Or it made me wish I wasn't seeing it in 3D. But also, fucking CGI blood. Really? Really?
Oh, so they could have the geyser coming at the screen.
That's why they did it.
Exactly why they did it.
That's why they did it, because every time the fucking blood, the CGI blood pops up in this goddamn thing, it flies out at the fucking camera. Mm-hmm. Fucking stop with the goddamn CGI blood. And that sucks, because people will go see this fucking thing in 2D and be still stuck with the fucking CGI blood.
Well, I know you don't much care for CGI as a rule, but I thought that how they did the mouths, like the update of the mouths, looked pretty good.
I sat there and watched that and was like...
Because on the girl it was terrible, but you gotta admit on Colin Farrell it was pretty good.
It looked fine before he was obviously about to turn into regular Colin Farrell.
Yeah, when they were kind of snapping it shut.
Then you're like, well, okay, it's gonna any second now. Yep.
No, when he's actually coming at them, it wasn't hilarious. It was actually still kind of scary.
Yeah, when it was, because it was dark enough. The film quality was dark enough that it kind of masked a lot of that. But even still, just put fucking makeup on him. Chris Sarandon's makeup was so much better.
What?
I like Chris Sarandon's makeup, and at least it didn't look like it was made by a computer. It looked like something that was actually on screen.
Okay. But mouth thing aside, again, I think that the creepier aspects of the vampires when they were, farther away and just part where he gets hit by a car and he's just kind of trying to drag himself across the road.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the fact that the movie was very dark looking helped that. Mm-hmm. But that was actually that car scene was actually really well done, because there's like a good 3 or 4 minute shot where the camera doesn't cut, where it's kind of circling around.
That annoyed the piss out of me. Some of the cinematography of this movie just annoyed the crap out of me.
I really liked that.
Because it was first of all, it was really claustrophobic, which maybe that was what they were going for, but it took me out of the movie because since it was in 3D, the headrest is right here on me.
By that point, I'd forgotten the fucking thing was in 3D, so I didn't notice, but that shot I really liked. You have about a 4 minute shot in this movie where the camera's kind of circling around in a car, and it was... he throws the motorcycle through the window, and then it keeps going, and they're talking to each other, and then...
But again, when the motorcycle comes through the window, we're over here, and so it has to kind of oh, okay, let's catch up with what's going on in the backseat. A lot of the stuff, it seemed very home movies to me. There's one scene where
it was,
where Tennant
John Benjamin would have been a fantastic Peter Vincent.
You know what I mean.
It's true. John Benjamin, he would if they went the Svengoolie route, with the original Fright Night, John Benjamin would have done.
John Benjamin would have played McLovin. But no, there's one scene where Tennant is he's I guess I don't want to be me either, and he pulls open his jacket, and they've the way they've got him framed, they've actually got to pan the camera down to check out what all stuff he has on him. And it looked like a home movie. It was only
home movies do pans.
Yes. Like a what? okay, let's go back to the...
That didn't bother me.
Maybe
it's because I direct a lot of home movies. It didn't bother me. Didn't bother me at all. In fact, I'm glad it was up that close, because if it was far enough away, I wouldn't have been able to tell what the fuck was in there.
It's more problematic with the 3D.
It was, yeah. But that didn't bother me. And the, like I said, the motorcycle goes through the thing, and then the car's chasing him. Car hits him, and then he circles around, and Colin Farrell. And fucking Chris Sarandon popping up in the movie, too.
Yeah, I didn't recognize him, but I heard Brad go like, "Oh!"
I was like, "Oh shit!" I don't know why that surprised me. Really, I should have figured he would probably be in it. If the kid from the original was in it, I didn't notice.
He might have been. He was in one of the darker scenes.
Yeah. yeah. He was the bouncer at the nightclub.
Another thing that annoyed me, how'd you feel about that girl?
I actually liked her. I liked her just fine. I have a thing with young actors where as long as they don't piss me off, I'm fine.
So the bar is set very low.
It's set very, very fucking low.
Because, I thought that she did a good job of, acting like she actually had a thing for this guy.
Yeah, I did too, honestly.
In the scenes where, she had to be a vampire, I thought that she didn't really...
Oh, well, I thought she did better than McLovin in that aspect.
Well, McLovin was supposed to be comic relief.
Oh, but he wasn't funny.
He was kind of funny.
When he's going through saying all that shit, I felt like I was...
No, the dialogue was crap. I will give you that. Yeah. But, he was definitely selling the comedy angle. But, yeah, again... There were scenes that should have been very funny. He was all like, "Oh, bone's kind of hard to cut through, Chuckles. Better take another swing."
Am I watching fucking Tim Story's goddamn Fantastic Four all of a sudden? What the shit? Okay, fucking kill this fucking asshole.
I have to mention those shoes, because that probably annoyed me more than anything else.
Oh yeah, what was with
They made
shoes?
A gigantic fuss about these fucking shoes that this guy was wearing. And I'm nitpicking at this point, I don't mind telling you. But it gets mentioned 3 times.
Yeah, what was with his shoes?
And then Colin Farrell shows up, he's like, "Oh, nice shoes. Puce, aren't they?" And I thought, okay, these shoes will come into play later in the plot somewhere. Somehow, these shoes will come into play, and then they just never get mentioned again.
Is it product placement, I guess?
Oh, the Puce? Is that an actual shoe brand?
No
Somebody
idea.
tell me, because I thought maybe they were trying to do Pumas.
It's a color.
Yeah, Puce is like a drabby gray color, but I didn't think it was an actual brand, so I don't think it was product placement. I think they were just being obnoxious.
Nice Puce.
See, and he made that line terrifying because he's Colin fucking Farrell.
I know, right? He took that and kind of ran with it, you know.
Wait, pubes?
Puce.
Yes, pubes.
Like Asperger's.
But there was enough shallow shit in this fucking movie that I can actually... If you've seen most other stuff that's out there right now, and honestly you just want to fucking kill 90 minutes, there's enough shallow shit in this movie that entertained me. Colin Farrell and David Tennant. Although I could have used a lot more of Colin Farrell's speeches, because they were exhilarating. Dead serious, man. I mean, really, the last half hour is just kind of a chase sequence. When it was getting in the last half hour with them kind of chasing each other all over Las Vegas, which I thought was a nice touch, actually, that it takes place around there.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a good place to put vampires, and they mentioned that 20 times in the movie.
So I could have used a lot more of it, a lot more of him, in his longer stretches of dialogue. But there was just enough small shit about the movie that I liked that I can say, if like I said, if you've seen everything else and you just want to be entertained for 90 minutes, it probably won't piss you off unless you're going into it looking for shit to get pissed off, which you weren't.
I wasn't.
Yeah,
and
I'm not saying that
But that's just because
you have legitimate complaints about this movie, though. There are people who are going to go see this thing and be like, "Oh, it's not the original version.
Not the original Boo.
It's not the original Boo, 0 stars." There are people who are going to do that, and they should. Why would they even bother going to see it? Mm-hmm. You actually have legitimate complaints about the movie, and I'm tired and entertained.
I was saying, if you're excited about this movie, you're gonna go see it because it does have a great pedigree, and it does have some excellent moments. It's just...
It really does.
The dialogue bugged the crap out of me.
I think
there are whole stretches of scenes where there's no dialogue whatsoever, and I was riveted for those scenes. Like
no way, man. Colin Farrell's dialogue?
When she, like, when he's breaking the stripper out, and Colin Farrell's just kind of, like, circling around them in the house, that was brilliant.
That was that was well done.
Someone opened their mouths, and I fell back asleep.
I actually like that when they walked out of the house, and other than the effect was bad, but
yeah, well,
when he walked out of the house with the go-go dancer and she disintegrated, I like that. That actually startled me.
I seriously did not expect that to happen either.
I kind of did, but I kind of did expect it to happen because I saw the sun coming up, and oh shit.
Well, I didn't figure he turned her, so she just like explodes, and I'm like, shit, did he booby trap her? And then
right, I was like, oh shit, it was a shitty special effect, but I expected it to happen, but it was such a big booming effect.
She exploded.
Jesus Christ.
Torso first.
I kind of like
so
that.
So it seriously looked like, she got like shot from behind, and there was like a bomb hidden in her midsection or something.
Yeah.
And it was just, again, so they could spray us with blood.
Yeah, I'm sure there was some CG blood thrown in. Fucking with the CG blood. Jesus fucking Christ. Stop! Ugh,
Speaking of CGI, we should talk about our previews, because we saw the preview for The Thing.
Oh, yeah,
and we were mentioning at the time, it actually looks like they used mostly practical effects in that movie, which excites me, because, like, the original is, like, the king of practical effects.
Yeah. I certainly fucking hope they do. The more I see the preview for that, the more I'm hoping it's gonna be good. The first time I saw the trailer, I'm really Kurt Russell's our lead, and now we got Ramona fucking Flowers.
Oh, is that
really?
That was? She looked really
Ramona
familiar.
Flowers, yeah, really. She's our okay. She's the next Kurt Russell.
I do hope it's good. I mean, The Thing is my favorite horror movie.
Yeah,
so I'll probably be disappointed in some aspects. I'm fully prepared to be biased on that front, but I hope it's good.
Yeah, if it's bad, that's one I'll nitpick the shit out. The original, or the John Carpenter one, really is one of the most perfect horror films ever made.
It really is.
So yeah. Oh.
What else did we get? We got Justin Timberlake running out of time.
Justin Timberlake, action hero.
Which we were saying in the theater. If it was
I don't have enough time left.
Other than Justin Timberlake, it would actually look pretty good.
If it was anyone else from that trailer.
Right? Pete
Campbell,
Connor.
Vincent Kartheiser. Fucking Vincent Kartheiser's in this.
That adorable girl whose name always escapes me, who's playing like the...
Olivia Wilde? Or Amanda Seyfried?
Amanda Seyfried.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you on that.
Like digital Logan's
it's
Run,
digital
I guess,
Logan's
maybe?
Run. They don't age past 25.
You can buy more jewels.
I don't have enough time left. I've got to buy more time.
Yeah, whatever, Justin. I feel real bad for those 100-year-old billionaires who look gorgeous. Yeah, cry me a fucking river.
Cry me a river. You made a Justin Timberlake song reference and you didn't even realize it.
What else? Oh, Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Rock'em Sock'em Robots. I plan on enjoying that movie. I think it looks so ridiculous.
Yeah,
Hugh Jackman looks like he's genuinely having fun in that preview. He's all like just eyebrows at the camera.
It looks ridiculous, stupid as shit. If Hugh Jackman has a good time in it, maybe it'll be entertaining. It looks ridiculous. Oh, Skyline 2.
Oh yeah, people are just like, it's like
not actually Skyline 2, but
they're invisible aliens. They're stealing energy, so they've got like handfuls of light bulbs to use as like early alien detectors. And it looks fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like
as ridiculous as generic can be, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does make sense.
Because it's just the same fucking movie where like 5 attractive 20-somethings are the only people left in an entire city.
At that point, who gives a... They're the only 5 people left in the fucking world.
Who
gives a shit?
Not me.
Who gives
they do say that you can repopulate a species with just 5 of that species. So maybe that's the reason they picked the number 5, but...
At least the offspring will be gorgeous. I don't know what else we fucking got.
We got like 20 previews this time, man. We got this Santa Claus one.
Harold and Kumar. The 3D looks amazing. The 3D looks spectacular in that movie.
I crack up just during the preview. I think that one's gonna be pretty fun.
I hope it is. I hope it's the preview's fun. I laughed at the previews. The 3D looks like Drive Angry level spectacular.
Yeah, it does. They're doing it for funsies, but like in Fright Night, they had a lot of like gotcha 3D effects that just annoyed the piss out of me. But in the Santa Claus one, they were delightful.
It annoyed the piss at me
like
in Fright Night.
Beer pong, ping pong.
It was so far few in between, and in between those moments, I forgot I was watching a fucking 3D movie, and it was so dark and foggy that. And then by the time a 3D thing happened, I agree with you. Yeah, it did take you out of the movie, like. Which I know 3D kind of does that anyway, but
this is like,
this was the bad kind of that, like the part where like he catches the arrow at the end and the arrow's coming out of the thing.
Or like when the hand comes out of the console, it's like
his face at the end, his melty face at the end.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, my final thought is, I agree with some of what you're saying, but. It's stuff that didn't bother. It's stuff that didn't bother me. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if it did bother me, I'd be right there with you. But so it's a lot of stuff. I agree with what you're saying, but it just didn't bother me. It didn't take me out of the movie or anything like that. So I thought it was fine.
My final thought is there are some brilliant parts in this movie, and most of them involve Colin Farrell. But
yeah.
The dialogue was. I keep using the word stilted, but that's the best way I can come up with to describe it. It was just terrible, faux, trendy speak. I
didn't think it was as bad as it got to the extreme that Diablo Cody usually does.
Well, Diablo Cody does it to the extreme with the like the pop references, but at least hers is snappy and like has a flow to it.
I'm not saying the Diablo Cody's is
using weird made up catchphrases just to seem hip and trendy.
I don't even remember any of those. So you caught those and I didn't.
I was trying to remember some of them, but seriously, after McLovin called the one guy Chuckles after he tried to cut through his neck, it blanked out the rest of my brain.
Yeah, like, so I really didn't catch any of those, but
yeah, you remember what I'm talking about, though, right?
When he calls them Chuckles?
Well, no, I mean just like the weird dialogue those teenagers have.
Honestly, not really. I mean, it did because
it's like yelling random phrases at his motorcycle because it won't start. It's like, I'm gonna take you apart, bitch. I'm just gonna take you apart, and you're gonna watch me. Who talks like that?
That's not that extreme of a thing to say. I mean, compared to.
I'm trying to remember something worse because I groaned at least 5 different times in the beginning of that movie.
And I liked Juno just fine, but it didn't get that extreme of that sort of dialogue.
And again, I like Diablo Cody's style of writing, because it's got a flow to it. The problem is when people try to emulate it, and they do it poorly.
I've seen dialogue like in this movie.
It hurts your brain.
I've seen dialogue like in this movie in a lot of horror films, honestly. I mean, I really have, even in the 80s, in comedies and in slasher flicks. This didn't strike. I mean, maybe if I was sitting there and looking for, because I really didn't notice it, but if I was sitting there and looking for it, okay, I might see some of that, but I really didn't notice it. And the things that you've mentioned, like the guy talking to his motorcycle.
That's just off the top of my head. I'm trying to remember a better example.
That doesn't seem, even him calling him Chuckles, I thought it was stupid, but I've seen that in a lot of one-liners spouting fucking shit that McLovin does in this fucking movie.
Again, McLovin spouts a lot of one-liners because they wrote him a bunch of one-liners. And I thought he did as best as he could with the crap-ass dialogue.
I'm not saying I thought he wrote the script, but...
Oh, well, that's good.
I thought it was stupid... Like I said, honestly, it was just how he was written in the movie, because I like him as McLovin. But, and in this, he's not playing Evil Ed, he's playing McLovin. Mm-hmm. He's not playing Stephen Jeffers. Well, he shouldn't be playing Stephen Jeffers, because you'd want to do your own thing with it, but there's nothing original about his fucking character. He's playing McLovin.
No, he's not playing McLovin, he's playing spurned nerdy guy. He's so McLovin. McLovin had way more balls than this character.
He broke into a guy's house because he thought he was a vampire.
Oh my god, that's because he had no other choice. He didn't break into the guy's house. He broke into like his friend's house to see if he could find where his friend was.
He didn't have to do that. If I thought someone I knew was a vampire, I'm not breaking in their house.
If you thought your best friend had been murdered, you wouldn't try to investigate.
I would try to investigate if it was a regular murder or something like that. That's why we have Nancy Grace. She solves all of our murders. She does solve murders. We saw the She solves all of our murders. Thank you very much.
Like pointing at chalk outlines and writing on a clipboard.
I don't
Detective
have
work.
I don't have balls. Of course I'm not going to break into a vampire's house. McLovin, I mean, I didn't like his character in this, but he had balls. He broke into a fucking house looking for shit.
I disagree.
You don't think it takes balls to break it?
I agree that it takes balls. I disagree that he was just playing the same goddamn character, because there were differences between the characters. I just can't think of them because I'm very tired.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm tired too.
But yeah, final thought. You may not be as annoyed as I am. I'm not gonna say that this movie isn't for anybody, but it wasn't for me.
It's alright. Alright, so you guys went to see Conan, so let's get you talking about Conan.
Yeah, that'll be fun.